So this interview is of myself, Cheryl Gallagher, with a student regarding the 1980s. And the first question?
Where did you live in the 80s and how long did you live there?
I lived and grew up in Westminster, Massachusetts, and I lived there for almost 20 years before I moved out. And I went to high school in Ashburnham, so it was a regional high school.
How did you contact people if you didn't have cell phones?
I definitely didn't have cell phones. I either had to ride my bike to someone's house if I wanted to talk to them, or call them. And we had an actual different way of phone numbers. I still remember my home phone number was 508-874-0575. That was my home phone number. But we only, if we lived in the same town, we only had to dial 4 instead of 874, just 40575. Now you have to dial all 9 or 10 numbers. There's a lot, and I had all my friends' numbers, and I still had the phone that you have to dial, and it was connected to the wall, so you couldn't walk around the house with it. So yeah, it was pretty old school.
What was your favorite memory and why?
My favorite memory is actually when I was 12, so I don't know if that's too far back. I was playing softball, which I loved, and we were playing our championship game, and I was asked to pitch that day, and it was my birthday, and we won, and so I won championship game on my birthday, and I was the pitcher, and I won MVP, so that was my favorite memory.
What was the most awful memory you had and why?
My most awful memory. I was teased a lot in high school. I grew up in a pretty poor family, so we didn't have a lot of good clothes, and so for whatever reason, kids picked on my clothes the most. They always asked if I got my clothes at Kmart, and they would say that my clothes looked like they belonged in the 60s. They gave me a really hard time, and so I felt very uncomfortable around all the other kids. And so I mostly hung around with the band kids because they were the least judgmental.
What was your first job and how old were you?
My first job, well, I did do a lot of babysitting because my mom had a daycare and I babysat the kids. But my first paycheck job was at a little hotel called Town Crier Motel, and it was in Westminster, and I could walk or ride my bike to it, and I cleaned rooms, and it was pretty nasty. But I got a whopping $4.10 an hour, and I did make friends at the job, but it was pretty gross. I would find lizards in the bathrooms and have to clean up beer cans and used condoms, and it was disgusting. And then I went to go work at the Old Mill restaurant, which was much better.
What were your favorite hobbies?
My favorite hobbies were probably listening to music. I listened to music as much as possible. I still had a Walkman that played the cassette tapes, and I had a boombox. So I was listening to music a lot, and I liked skiing. When I was 15, I started skiing because we lived near Mount Wachusett. So I saved up babysitting money and bought skis and lessons, and then I got a job at the mountain so I could ski for free. And being outside, we lived near the woods, so I was always hiking, or in the winter I was going sledding. So being outside, skiing, which is outside, and listening to music.
What classes did you take at school, and what was your favorite class?
In junior high and 9th and 10th grade, I was in the honors program, so I took all honors, English, math, science, but I hated the kids, so I asked my guidance counselor to move down. He thought I was being stupid, but I was much happier being in the easier classes just because the kids weren't so judgmental. And my favorite class was probably between cooking and sewing classes.
What did you do for fun with your friends?
In school, I had a couple friends. We wrote notes to each other. I forgot to say about communication. We didn't have cell phones, but we'd write notes and pass notes, or you'd pass a note to a friend to give to your other friend. Teachers would take the notes and read them, and that was embarrassing. And we would listen to music together. We'd go to concerts. I went to a lot of concerts. We used to go to at least one concert a month, and we'd rent a limo and we'd go either to Worcester or Providence. And my friends that were daring enough would go hiking with me.
What did other people do for fun?
Girls like to go shopping. I never was interested in shopping or getting their nails done or getting their hair done, and I wasn't into all that. Because we lived like in the woodsy kind of place, a lot of people went out in the woods and partied in the woods. They'd have big bonfires. But a lot of people did do the same thing, go to concerts, go to parties. There were a lot of parties during high school, and you really felt like you didn't fit in if you weren't at the weekend party, the big weekend party.
Tell me how people would dress back then.
I always thought it was really goofy, but they wore a lot of bright colors. I did like turquoise and black, but people would wear purple and pink and bright orange, like neon colors. Other thing that was really goofy is all the shirts went off the shoulders, so you could show off your bra straps or whatever, and it was really lame. Boots were very popular, and tucking your pants in your boots, or there was a special fold where you'd roll it and tighten up your pants so it looked like you were wearing high waters, or like you made your own capris, but it was very popular. Or, this was really dorky, we used to tuck our pants into our socks. And jean jackets. I used to wear a lot of concert shirts and jean jackets and black, and I had combat boots. That was kind of my thing.
Did you do any sports or activities, and what were they?
Before high school, I played softball, but when I got to high school, I hated all the kids on the softball team, so I wouldn't play, which I regret now. But I did Girl Scouts till I was 12. I played street hockey one year until I busted my lip. I couldn't play. And I went skiing with the school had a, I don't know what you want to call it, like a ski program. So like every winter I'd go, and I had friends that were in the ski program, so we'd go skiing at the mountain together.
How was the music, and did you have a favorite song or artist?
I can never pick a favorite song because it changes all the time. But my favorite band in high school was Metallica. I listened to them as much as possible. I bought their records and their tapes and the CDs when they came out. And I went to see them 3 times, twice front row. So that was pretty memorable. Rock was very popular, Def Leppard, AC/DC. A lot of big hair bands like Cinderella, Poison, Rat. The guys just had these humongous perm hairdos. It looked really silly, but we were pretty in love with them at that time. So I mostly listen to rock. Bon Jovi and Skid Row I got to see, and I like them. Aerosmith. So, yeah, I didn't have a favorite song, just favorite music.
Tell me about the lunches at school and the food and the types of groups you saw at lunch.
So sometimes lunch was stressful because if I didn't have any friends at that particular lunch, I would literally go eat in the bathroom. Because twice I'd go to lunch and I would just sit at a table and everybody at the table would just stare at me and get up and leave, and so that was pretty hurtful. So I said, well, screw this. So I would just go eat in the bathroom. But then when I did have friends at lunch, usually underclassmen or the band kids, I would sit there, and I didn't have a lot of money. I was spending it on stupid stuff. But I would have friends that would give me their lunches. So I actually didn't mind cafeteria pizza and cafeteria fries and cafeteria tater tots. So almost every lunch, though, was either some kind of sandwich or pizza and french fries and something that resembled vegetables, but we never ate it because it looked pretty creepy. And then, of course, the little milk cartons. Those things have been around since the beginning of time, I think. But the groups, there was I was with the metalheads and the younger kids, and the band kids sat together, and then the jocks all sat together, the football team would sit together, and all the smart girls in fashion. Then there was the mall rats, we called them, all the girls that were all about shopping and into the best clothing. My sister was a mall rat, but she was nice to me and her friends were nice to me, so I hung out with her friends. those were the groups or the cliques, I guess you could say, at high school.
Can you just describe the hair and makeup styles of the 80s?
Makeup, everybody wore blue eyeshadow. It was so annoying. But people wore a lot of makeup. It looked ridiculous, you know. But I wore it too because everybody else was wearing it. I didn't wear it as much. I had perms because it was very popular, big hair. And the only way I could get my hair to look big was to perm it. So you had to have big hair that you teased to make it bigger. And the other thing that was popular was called feathered. You want your hair to like be layered so it looked like feathers. So you get a feathered. So you'd actually go to the hairdresser and say, yeah, I want my hair to be feathered. And mullets. There were a lot of kids with mullets in my school, and that was cool, and it was attractive at that time. And what else did you ask? Just hair and makeup?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you used to watch TV or have a favorite show? And what show was it, and why did you like the show?
I watched a lot of TV growing up. My favorite show was The Brady Bunch, just because they had this like really cute family, and I was always jealous, and I wished I had this big family that went on vacations and they did things together. Because my family, everybody was like kind of to themselves, but our family would watch TV together. We'd watched Roseanne, was this funny, ridiculous show about a bad family, so I think we could relate to it. We also watched Alf, about this alien, and that was really cute, watching Alf together. And so we did watch a lot of TV, and we also played a lot of video games. I had an Atari and a Nintendo, so we'd play Space Invaders, Asteroids, and Super Mario Brothers.
Okay.
All set?